Here's what your bank doesn't want you to know about your mortgage. That house you bought, you're actually paying for it twice, maybe even three times over. And I'm about to show you the exact numbers they hide from you. Look, I get it. You worked hard, saved up for that down payment, got approved for a mortgage, and finally bought your dream home. You felt like you made it, right? But then something weird started happening. Your paycheck comes in, and somehow you're always broke. You've got this asset sitting there, but you can't afford to go on vacation. You can't save money. You're living paycheck to paycheck, even though you're supposed to be building wealth. So, what's actually going on here? The problem is simple, but nobody talks about it in a way that actually makes sense. When you sign up for a 30-year mortgage, you're not just borrowing money to buy a house. You're entering into one of the most profitable agreements a bank can make, and they structure it in a way that keeps you paying them for as long as possible. Let me give you a real example. Let's say you buy a house for $400,000. Pretty average in most cities these days. You put down 20%, which is $80,000. Good for you. That's a solid down payment. So now you're borrowing $320,000. At today's interest rates, let's say you get 7%. That's actually pretty standard right now. Your monthly payment ends up being about $2,130 just for the mortgage, not including property taxes or insurance or anything else. Now, here's the crazy part. Over 30 years, you're going to pay back way more than that 320,000 you borrowed. You ready for this number? You'll pay around $767,000 total. Let me say that again. You borrowed 320,000. You're paying back 767,000. That's $447,000 in interest alone. You're literally paying for that house more than twice over. But it gets worse. And this is where the trap really shows itself. Let me explain how mortgage amortization actually works, because this is the secret sauce that keeps you broke. When you make that $2,000 payment every month, you think you're paying down your loan, right? Wrong. Well, sort of wrong. In the beginning, almost all of your payment goes to interest. The bank gets paid first. Always. In your first month, out of that $2,130 payment, about $1,867 goes to interest. Only $263 actually goes toward paying down what you owe. Think about that. You just handed the bank over $2,000 and only $263 of it actually went toward your house. This isn't some conspiracy theory. This is literally how amortization schedules work. It's designed this way on purpose. The bank wants to collect as much interest as possible in those early years because they know most people either refinance or sell within 7 to 10 years. So they front load all the interest. By year 5, you've paid over $127,000 to the bank. Want to guess how much of that went to actually paying down your loan? About $37,000. The rest, pure profit for the bank. You've handed them $90,000 in interest, and you still owe $283,000 on your loan. This is why you feel house poor, because you are house poor. You're dumping thousands of dollars into something every month, but you're not actually building equity at any reasonable pace. You're just paying the bank to borrow their money. And here's another thing nobody tells you: property taxes, homeowners insurance, HOA fees if you're really unlucky, maintenance and repairs. All of that comes on top of your mortgage payment. Financial experts say you should budget about 1% of your home's value per year just for maintenance. On a $400,000 house, that's $4,000 a year. That's another $333 a month on top of everything else. So now you're not paying $2,000 a month for your house. You're paying closer to $3,000, maybe more if you live in a state with high property taxes like Texas or New Jersey. And remember, in those early years, only a tiny fraction of that is actually building your wealth. The rest is just going out the door. But wait, doesn't your home appreciate in value? Isn't that building wealth? Sure, over time, homes generally go up in value, but let's be realistic about this. Average home appreciation in the United States is around 3 to 4% per year. Some years more, some years less. We had that crazy run up during the pandemic, but that's not normal. So your $400,000 house might be worth $412,000 next year. You made $12,000 on paper. Sounds good, right? Except you paid about 25,000 in mortgage payments that year, and only about 4,000 of that went to principal. The other 21,000 gone. Plus you paid another 4,000 in maintenance and property taxes. When you actually do the math, you're not building wealth nearly as fast as you think you are, especially in those first 10 years. And here's something that really bothers me. People always say, "But you can deduct the mortgage interest on your taxes." Okay, sure, but think about what that actually means. To get a tax deduction, you have to pay interest. You're literally celebrating the fact that you get to deduct the money you're losing. It's like saying, "Yeah, I spent $10,000 on interest this year, but at least I saved $3,000 on my taxes." You're still down $7,000. Plus, with the standard deduction being so high now, most people don't even itemize anymore. So you're not even getting that benefit unless you've got a massive mortgage or other deductions to stack on top. Now, let me show you something that'll really blow your mind. Let's compare two different scenarios. Same person, same income, but different choices. Person A buys that $400,000 house with a 30-year mortgage at 7%. Over 30 years, they pay $767,000 total. At the end, they own the house free and clear. Assuming 4% appreciation, that house is now worth about 1.3 million. Nice. They built about 900,000 in equity after you subtract what they paid. Person B rents a comparable place for 2,000 a month and invests the difference between what they would have spent on ownership costs and their rent. Let's say ownership costs are 3,000 a month total, and they invest that extra 1,000. Over 30 years, at an average stock market return of 10%, that $1,000 a month turns into about $2.3 million. Wait, what? The renter ends up with more money? How does that work? It works because compound interest is incredibly powerful, and because home ownership is way more expensive than just your mortgage payment, and because in those early years, you're barely building any equity while the renter's investing everything and letting it grow. Now, I'm not saying never buy a house. That's not the point here. Houses can be great. They provide stability, you can customize them, you're not dealing with landlords. There are real benefits, but we need to stop pretending that buying a house is always the best financial decision. For a lot of people, it's actually keeping them broke. So, what's the alternative? What should you do instead? First, if you already have a mortgage, look at your amortization schedule. Seriously, go request it from your lender or look it up online. See how much of your payment is going to interest versus principal. It'll probably make you sick, but you need to know. Then, if you can afford it, start making extra payments toward your principal. Even an extra $100 a month can save you tens of thousands in interest over the life of the loan and shave years off your mortgage. When you make an extra payment, specify that it goes to principal only. Otherwise, some lenders will just apply it to your next regular payment, which doesn't help you. Here's the math on that. If you pay an extra $200 a month toward principal on that same $320,000 loan, you'll pay it off in about 23 years instead of 30, and you'll save over $130,000 in interest. That's life-changing money. Second, consider a 15-year mortgage instead of a 30-year if you're buying a new place. Yeah, the monthly payment is higher, but not as high as you think. On that same $320,000 loan, a 15-year mortgage at 6.5% would cost you about $2,783 a month. That's only about $650 more than the 30-year. But here's what you save. Over 15 years, you'll pay about 181,000 in interest instead of 447,000. That's $266,000 you keep in your pocket. Plus, you own your home in half the time. Can you afford $650 more per month? Maybe, maybe not. But it's worth running the numbers because even if it's tight for a few years, you might decide it's worth it to be mortgage free 15 years earlier and save $250,000. Third, and this is important, stop thinking of your house as your only investment. Your house is where you live, it's shelter. Yes, it can build wealth over time, but it shouldn't be your entire financial plan. You need to be investing in retirement accounts, building an emergency fund, maybe investing in index funds or other assets that actually generate returns without requiring you to fix the roof or replace the water heater. Too many people buy the biggest house they can afford and then have nothing left to invest. They're house rich and cash poor. Don't do that. Buy less house than you can afford and invest at the difference. Your future self will thank you. Fourth, be realistic about whether you actually need to buy right now. If you're planning to move in the next 5 years, you probably shouldn't buy. By the time you pay closing costs, realtor fees when you sell, and considering how little equity you build in those first years, you'll likely lose money. Renting isn't throwing money away if it gives you flexibility and lets you invest more aggressively elsewhere. And finally, if you're already locked into a mortgage that's killing you, look into refinancing if rates drop. But be careful with this. Refinancing restarts your 30-year clock. So even if you get a lower rate, you might end up paying more interest over the life of the loan if you're already several years in. Run the numbers carefully or talk to a financial advisor who isn't trying to sell you something. The point of all this is simple. Mortgages are tools, and like any tool, they can be used well or poorly. Banks design them to maximize their profit, not yours. That's just business. But you need to understand how they actually work so you can make informed decisions. Your house isn't keeping you broke because houses are bad. It's keeping you broke because you probably bought too much house, financed it for too long, and didn't understand how much you'd actually be paying. And now you're stuck in a cycle where most of your money goes to interest and expenses instead of building real wealth. The good news is you can fix this. You can make extra principal payments. You can invest on the side. You can be more strategic about your housing decisions going forward. But you have to be honest with yourself about the math. Stop listening to people who say renting is throwing money away or you need to buy a house to build wealth. Those are oversimplifications that benefit the real estate industry, not you. Here's the real secret that changed everything for me. Your home is not your best investment. It's not even close. It's an expensive place to live that might build some wealth over time if you're lucky and patient. But the opportunity cost of tying up all your money in a house is enormous. Think about it this way. Every dollar you spend on mortgage interest, property taxes, maintenance, and repairs is a dollar that's not growing for you. It's gone. Yes, you get shelter in return, but you could get shelter by renting for less and invest the difference. The families I know who actually built serious wealth didn't do it with their house. They did it by keeping their housing costs low relative to their income and aggressively investing the difference. They bought the modest house in the good school district, not the mansion. They drove used cars. They maxed out their retirement accounts. And 20 years later, they're financially free while their friends are still struggling to make mortgage payments on houses they can barely afford. This is the trap. The bank convinces you that borrowing as much as possible for as long as possible is normal. Everyone around you is doing it, so it must be okay. But it's not okay. It's designed to keep you in debt, keep you working, keep you stressed, and keep the bank profitable. Look, I'm not trying to scare you or make you feel bad about your choices. If you own a home, that's great. But you need to understand what you're actually paying for and why it might feel like you're always broke despite owning this asset. The 30-year mortgage is a trap for most people, not because home ownership is bad, but because of how the loan is structured and how much it actually costs when you factor in everything. $447,000 in interest on a $320,000 loan is insane. That's money you could be using to actually build wealth, retire early, or just have a better quality of life. So take control. Look at your numbers, make a plan, pay extra toward principal if you can. Consider refinancing to a shorter term. Stop buying into the idea that bigger is better when it comes to houses. And for the love of everything, start investing outside of your home. Your house should serve you, not the other way around. If this opened your eyes, hit subscribe so you don't miss the next one.